Hello and welcome to Pima Community College's Art 105 course offering 10606. My name's Raven Moffett and I will be your professor for this course. Um, this is just a little welcome video so y'all can put a face to a name and I'm gonna just talk shop about the class, make sure I hit on all the key points of the syllabus and kind of give you the lowdown, and also just introduce myself. So this is my third year teaching this class for Pima Online. I've taught for Pima both in person and online this class and a few others, all in art, studio art and art history. Um, so I'm familiar with the course and the course content, but this is a new, updated, very nice and squeaky clean D2L setup. So if anything isn't working as expected, or you run across anything that's not feeling smooth and fluid, please email me right away because I've kind of looked through it and it all looked great, but of course I can miss something. Um, let's see here. I've been an educator for 5 years. I've also taught for Appalachian State University and University of Arizona. Um, I've also done some community classes. My background is in both the humanities broadly and as a studio artist. I got my MFA from University of Arizona a couple of years ago. My focus was in lens-based media, so I came from a photo background and I worked a lot in videography and filmmaking, as well as performance and installation. Now I mostly do pottery and natural dye, so I have a broad spectrum of studio practices under my belt. I have also worked in museums in almost every capacity that you can fill. So I've curated, um, I've worked in collections, I've done provenance research, I've worked as event planning, uh, docent work, and also like visitor relations, installing and proprieting, all of the above. I've done a little bit of it, and that's really where my passion lies. I love art and I love museums. They can be extremely problematic, but I have a lot of hope that they can they have some redeemable qualities, and a lot of people they're great places for connection and introspection and inspiration. Um, let's see here. So I got my MFA, and I also I'm currently a student. I'm finishing up my PhD in American Indian Studies for the University of Arizona. I am hopefully in my last year. I'm writing my dissertation. And my dissertation kind of weaves together my expertise as an artist and someone knowledgeable of art history, and also as somebody who has a background as a poet and a literature scholar, um, with my other passion, which is dogs and animals. So I'm a certified animal behaviorist, and I've worked with dogs for many years. Um, and so my PhD dissertation makes an argument that contemporary and historical, but I mostly look at contemporary Indigenous representations of dogs in art, film, especially, and literature, so novels and poetry, really shows dogs as these complex, holistic person beings, which is not always the has not been the norm for Western art. There are marked exceptions and definitely moments where those representations shine, but I'd say it's more consistent that I find within Indigenous cultures, and that roots back to a framework of relationality that is just a part of worldview and living as an Indigenous person and relating as an Indigenous person to your Indigenous non-human relatives. So my argument is that if we can even if you're non-native, if you can look at those beautiful examples and put them into practice in your own relationships with your dogs, it'll help things be more equitable and reciprocal, and hopefully improve quality of life for all involved. So that's what I'm thinking about and doing with a lot of my time. Um, and then when I'm not doing that research or teaching, I am working with my dogs or uh, keeping house and bouncing between Tucson and where I'm currently recording this, which is why it's so lush in the background, Scappoose, Oregon, where I'm a caretaker for some of my familial elders, and then some land, and then I am also a caretaker for some rescue mice that might freak some people out, but uh and then several flocks of birds, chicken, quail, and then with my partner I also keep some insects, and even up here in the Pacific Northwest we've brought some of the desert with us, and we have blue death feigning beetles, which are my favorites. We have lots of others, but those are the ones I'm going to note. So that's a little bit about me and what I'm doing with my time. Let's get into the class. So I'm going to take you on a little virtual tour here. So when you open up D2L and click on our course page, this is our landing page. I've got this kind of lengthy welcome announcement. Many of it is iterative of what I'm recording right now. Just to hone it all in, please read thoroughly both through that, watch this with some keen attention, and go over the syllabus. And that's just going to make sure that you know what to expect from this class, and moving forward, you've got that in mind. And if you discover some things that you're not ready to take on or don't sound like what you want to learn in this type of class, then it gives you plenty of time to consider that and disenroll before the due date, and not incur any fees, or it's to your benefit to take the classes you want to take and need to take. Sorry, I'm scrolling up and down, but that's that welcome announcement. I'll be posting more announcements and updates twice a week at least. A lot of the times they're gentle reminders about upcoming due dates, or links to things that are relevant and interesting. Here's my email front and center. It is the way to contact me. I do not have a phone associated with Pima because I teach online. And also, I don't have office hours because I don't have a physical office, but I do Zoom, and I'm happy to just communicate via email. But if you want to Zoom, email me and let me know a couple of dates and times that would work for you, because since this is online asynchronous and we don't have a set course meeting time, everyone's schedules are different. So as long as you give me a couple of options, I'm sure we'll figure something out. Scrolling down, you'll see the calendar with due dates as well. And then this wonderfully helpful, they're called widget, these little doodads on the home screen. Wonderfully helpful person and a wonderfully helpful widget. This is Sandra Lay. She is your appointed librarian. This class does involve some research into artists and art historical processes and time frames. So because I'm such an academic, I'm a stickler for correct citation and proper formatting. If that feels new or like something you need a little brush up on, Sandra Lay's your gal. Hit her up, figure out some things. She can help you find some good resources. It's great. Also, a link to your Pima Gmail, a link to PCC's tutoring service, which is great. And then down here are some quick links. I'm just going to quickly note the D2L support here and the tech support here. Those are important because I'm your go-to person with any questions about content for the class, deadlines, anything that is this related to this class, or if you have forward-looking questions about Pima's art programs and things. And also, since I'm a graduate from U of A, if you're taking credits to transfer, please feel free to ask any questions about that. But I am not an expert on D2L. I can do what I can for this class's page, but when you access something and things aren't working on your end, that could be a connectivity problem between your Wi-Fi or your laptop or your server and D2L. And I won't be able to do anything about that. So if you are having a technological malfunction, please feel free to loop me in. I love to know that because I can grant you extensions and I can work with you and I can become aware of a problem. I might not be super helpful in solving the problem. So email me to let me know something's going on, but primarily talk to PIMA's tech support and D2L support. I've contacted them myself. They are always very helpful. So use that resource. All right. You're going to go to your landing page. You're going to look through that. Always pay attention to the announcements. The next step would be to go to content and the welcome module. So you're going to start the course here. You're going to read through all of these pages. They're extremely helpful. 95% of your questions are going to be answered in these pages. They've got embedded video links, lots of information. And then once you're done, you can just click through them and this will take you to the next page. So I'm going to back out and I'm not going to walk you through all of those, but that's kind of how to go through this content. I'm going to draw your attention to maybe the most important page, which is our schedule of work. So you have all of the deadlines for this class right now. You know when everything is due. You have those agencies and that tool. The dates are listed here. So how this works is it's broken up by module. And you'll have a quiz a week, certainly. Because this is a slightly shorter, generally semester-long classes are 16 weeks and this is 14 weeks. So there are brief moments where you will have potentially two quizzes and frequently you might have a quiz and an assignment due every week. But that's about as much as will happen in terms of stacking. You will have something due though every week. Things are due in this class on Sundays. And so you have the whole week. This is the due date. And then we have the breakdown of what's the assignment, how much time do we think it might take, and the points. And everything that the date is listed, it's always due at 11:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time or Tucson time. So those are things to note. Be referring to this, but also know that each of these assignments have that due date embedded within them. It's linked on that calendar widget on the homepage as well. So there's lots of places to find this information. So always be referencing that, be staying on top of that. And then this is new. This is about a year old that PIMA has started working with this program called Simple Syllabus, which is a wonderful way to streamline making syllabi. Lots of us teach iterations of the same class, sometimes multiple times a semester. I often teach multiple iterations of ART105, which is a good point for me to remind myself and you all, please always note your CRN in your emails to me because due dates are slightly different. So for example, in the fall, I'm teaching this 14-week and I'm also teaching an 8-week class. So if you email me about an assignment and I'm, haven't had my coffee or it's the end of the day and I'm thinking you're in one class and you're actually in another, I might give you bad information in terms of due dates. So help me out, help yourself out. Always note your CRN so we are on the same page. But anyway, this simple syllabus tool has been wonderful. It helps us replicate that and make sure we're consistent. But I will say sometimes and oftentimes at the beginning of semesters, I think maybe it gets a little overloaded or I get a little backlogged and sometimes it doesn't load. So if you're ever having issues with simple syllabus, hopefully you won't. But if you are, please email me. As always, just email me. I will have a downloadable PDF document that is a copy of this and is maybe a little less interactive, just so you can it's easier to print and it would be something that's downloadable. So once you download it, it won't require any connectivity to access. Anyway, I'll try to make a even more accessible version of this. But if you get on the class, it's the first day you want to make sure you've got everything down and this isn't loading. Part of the reason why I spend so much of this welcome video going through it is so that you can pause and reference this video about the most important information. and you just have it accessible in multiple different ways. So, um, again, this is a 14-week class. We're going to start September 4th and we're going to end December 14th. Please pay attention to the drop refund audit deadline, which is September 16th, not very far along after the start of class. And then potentially, I think even more important is the withdraw deadline. So November 11th. If life has sidelined you, come out of nowhere with some big challenges, and you don't have the time that you previously thought you did to dedicate to this class, or just something's come up and you're not where you want to be in this class, and you're not seeing how you can get to where you want to be by December 14th by the end, I highly recommend withdrawing and trying again. So like I said, Pima offers this class multiple different modalities, multiple different time frames. We are really meeting students where they're at with this ART 105. We want people to take this class. We want to make it accessible. But if it's not your semester, that's a-okay, no judgment. But I highly recommend withdrawing and then trying again in a future semester, because it's you just don't want that grade that wasn't your best to kind of follow you. So that's my little spiel about that. This is online asynchronous. We do not meet, but you do have deadlines for work, as you saw. So you do need to not only log into D2L, but also submit work, or else you will not be counted as present. We have weekly quizzes, and those are your number one ways that I count attendance. The downside of that is if you have a week that you miss a quiz, not only do you miss that quiz and not get a grade on that, you take the 0, but you also don't get marked present. So just keep that in mind. All right. Syllabus information, again, my email, Zoom link. Again, that's how we're going to communicate via email and Zoom if you'd like. Little description about the course, a little breakdown of what you should expect to be logging in terms of hours of work per week. This is a 14-week class, averaging about 10 hours of work per week for this. Because we're all online, it's extremely critical that you have a laptop or a computer or a tablet, however you're accessing this D2L space, this online space, needs to be, reliable, and then the Wi-Fi needs to be reliable, or your internet connectivity needs to be reliable. So those are big. There's one art making assignment in this course, so you'll want to plan ahead and think about what materials you might want to use for creating an art piece. And then the other big piece of technology or tool you need to succeed in this course is transportation to go see art in your local community. So my spiel on that is, I'm Zooming to you all from Scappoose, Oregon, which is not in Tucson, Arizona. But Pima Community College is based in Pima County in Arizona. So most of the resources that I have ready to go for you all in terms of museums and art galleries that I think work, that I think are amazing, are in that Southern Arizona realm, primarily Tucson and Phoenix. And so those are the ones that are forward facing on assignments, and I have lists of pre-approved spaces to go. But let's say you are taking this class from New York City. Some of the best museums in the world are there. I definitely welcome you to explore new places, go to those museums that are in your local experience, but email me ahead of time just to make sure that it is going to satisfy the requirements. It probably will, but let's just make sure that you don't waste a visit. I mean, it won't be a waste. You'll be enriched whenever you go to a museum. But if you were trying to go to a children's museum because you have kids, that's amazing, but it might not work for analyzing art for this class. You see what I'm saying? So I definitely welcome. I've also had students who are mostly based out of Pima County, but they're taking a trip and they want to make the use of that trip to go look at art that they wouldn't be able to access normally. And that's great too. So, think about where you want to go for those assignments, and then think about transportation. So, whether that means you're using public transportation, you're cycling there, amazing, great, or maybe you need to get a ride because it's a little bit more of a journey. Do your homework and research open hours, cost of admission, make a plan so that it's not disappointing and so that everything works out great. All right. Again, some resources for D2L help if you need them. There's no textbook for this class. All the material is embedded in this D2L site, so that's great. Learning objectives, you can look at on your own. This is a breakdown of again all of the assignments and the points that they're going to get you. I just want to say I sometimes have students who see that quizzes or discussions, are only 20 or 40 points out of 760, and that seems like nothing. And let's say you have a bad week and you miss a quiz or you just don't do your best, you can absolutely recover from that. But don't bank on that because if you start missing a couple weeks, if you have a couple bad assignments, it really can build up fast. And I turn grades around right away. Things will be due on Sunday. You should get grades sometime Monday, and they'll be released through D2L, so you will know where you stand. And if ever you have questions, again, just email me. But be doing that math and be staying on top of that because if you're not where you want to be, and there is an extra credit opportunity, but also, plan strategically. Like make sure you're really working ahead of time, really being thoughtful about especially those assignments that are weighted much more heavily. So the hands-on self-portrait and the museum field trip. That's 130 points and 120 points. So um, everything counts. But play it smart here. I already took you to the schedule of work. Once again, I have the key dates for this course. Um, I'm going to email you back. I'm going to email you back within 24 hours on the weekday and, give me a little more time on the weekend, potentially. Because I have things due on Sunday, I really do try to stay monitoring my email even over the weekend. But I got to tell you, by 6 p.m. on a weekend night, I'm not really logged in to my email. I'm having dinner, I'm living my life, I'm doing my pottery, I got other stuff going on. So, uh, if I'm not responding to you within 24 hours during the week or 48 hours um, during the weekend, probably what's going on is I'm not receiving your emails. And this has happened frequently when people email me from their personal account. And they might not even like know that because Google has this great thing where you can be logged into multiple emails and you're just firing off emails and you didn't really realize it was your personal account versus your PIMA. Go that extra mile to check that it is your PIMA account because it's much more likely that it won't end up in my spam folder. If you email me from your personal account, I have nothing against that, but my PIMA email will almost always automatically send it to my spam folder. And so I do try to check that frequently, but it's, I'm more in my inbox than I am in my spam folder. So uh, yeah, if I haven't responded to you, generally that's what's happening. So, maybe recheck with me, resend an email from your PIMA email. It's, I'm also a human that is fallible, so I could have missed something. So feel free to follow up if that 24 hours or 48 hours is up and I haven't gotten back to you. Um, Oof, I thought there was one more thing there. Oh, it's so helpful for me if you can note the CRN number in your email to me because I do teach multiple iterations of this class and I want to make sure I'm giving you the correct information. Um, if you think you're going to miss something or you're struggling, again, just email me and email me ahead of time because it's easier for us to build a plan for your success when you're starting to see some issues or you're beginning to have a concern rather than okay, we've missed several weeks, or, I didn't understand it and I turned in an assignment and it wasn't quite up to snuff, but I also didn't reach out, right? Oh, hi, Jasper. Do you want to say hi? This is my dog, Jasper. Hi, bud. Yeah, he's hanging out with me. I've already noted that quizzes are not only a part of your grade, but also your number one key to attendance. So can't say that enough. Amazing. Yep. Your first assignment is going to be a syllabus course contract quiz. It's an easy 5 points, so please remember to do that. I do allow you to use AI in this class, but only in a very particular way. It is not, you are not allowed to type an assignment into, let's say, ChatGPT and take the words that it spits out and submit that as your own. That is plagiarism, and I will catch you. It's very easy to detect that language from students. I know you might think it's not, but it actually, there's some keywords. It's pretty easy, particularly for someone who works with AI themselves. So I'm going to tell you how I use AI and how I think it might be helpful for you. Um, so let's say you have one of your writing assignments and you're kind of stuck and you need some help brainstorming. So like for me, I have a paper I'm writing for a journal, and I have some ideas, but I don't really feel like they're, the strongest. Maybe I'm going to write that journal article prompt, or you're going to put the assignment prompt into generative AI and just see what they come up with, just to get your brain working. It also can be helpful for our writing assignments to just see a rough draft and an example of how they're organizing their thoughts, right? So here's that introductory paragraph, here's the body paragraph, here's a conclusion. That would be a nice model for you to work off of, but you're not going to use any of the text that comes out of that AI generative tool as your own. So that's one way. The other way, and the way that I use AI the most, is actually to help me edit. So let's say I'm working on a chapter for my dissertation, and there's one section that I think is not as strong. I might put that into ChatGPT. I'd say, ChatGPT, I'd tell them what the chapter is about, what the section is about, and I'd say, edit this for clarity, scholarly voice, and uh boy, I just had a blank. Punctuation and grammar. And so then I can look at the changes that they made and help me implement them so that I make sure that I'm spelling everything correctly, my grammar is great. And biggest thing for me too is transitions. When I'm moving from one idea to the next, it makes sense, it flows. So those are the ways that I think it's helpful to use this as a tool. But what you do need to do is you need to cite your generative AI tool as a source, because that was something that helped you get to your end work. So just want to make sure that's really clear. I'm going to say this one more time. You have due dates every week on Sunday. Going to have due dates. Every week, you need to not only be logging in, but also submitting work and interacting with things. Just logging into the class does not count as participation. So the last time I'll say that for this video. I think the last thing I'm gonna share is our department head is Mariana Carreras. She is wonderful, wealth of information. This is her contact information. Things that would be helpful to share with her are, the class that you're in, the CRN number, give her a little scope of the situation. And because she is running a whole department and not just classes like us professors, I would give her a little bit more leniency in terms of response time. But she is a great resource, and definitely please use her. And there's more resources linked throughout this syllabus. So I hope you take the time to really go through it and make sure you're getting everything you can out of this class and out of what we've got set up for you. So I'm looking forward to learning from you all and having a great semester. All right. Thanks.